I'm Dave D, and you're watching XP Team USA.
Sorry, it's DJ.
I think this is what people or toy shop a little bit too about the situation. I think whatever you actually been involved
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday. It's 8 minutes past 8, and it's the big metal detecting TV and radio show. Hope you're all well this fine evening. It's been a busy old week. I wish. Bloody lockdown. Anyway, here we are. And you'll notice I'm sporting a new hat. I took delivery last Friday of a new machine, the Nocta Macro Simplex, and I'm looking forward greatly to getting out and about in it and finding lots of lovely coins and relics. I've done a little video. You know I hate doing videos, so I got my daughter to do it and just done an unboxing basically. Had a play with it and it seems all right. We know I'm a technophobe, but at least I'm trying to learn, so we'll look forward greatly to that. Anyway, without further ado, before our guest, who hopefully is in the background because we lost him for a moment or two, I'm going to do a bit of screen sharing and we're going to go through this week's news. So while I just wait for that to kick in, which is there, first article, metal detecting man finds grenade in Darwin River. A suspected grenade was found in a river by a man who had been scouring the area with a metal detector. On Saturday, during the lockdown may I add, police were called to Carwood in Darwin after a man had removed what he believed was a grenade from the water close to Ashton Park. Now, personally, as you know, my belief is that at the moment, we're on a lockdown. Metal detecting shouldn't be a part of people's lives currently, unless you're very, very lucky and have a massive back garden or one of your permissions backs onto your house. That's my personal view. But this person's obviously gone metal detecting, found a metal detector, and he's calling the emergency services. That, in my book, isn't okay. Next up, Iron Age jewellery, which isn't Iron Age, found in Shropshire, declared treasure. That's a medieval brooch, not an Iron Age one. An Iron Age ring and a medieval brooch, both found in Shropshire, have been declared treasure. The gold ring, which dates from 400 to 200 BC, was only the sixth of its kind found in Britain, which is there. Lovely little piece, very, very delicate, and similar to rings found in Switzerland. It's gone all through. That's the medieval brooch found near Bridgenorth. Now, I'm wondering, because I've been on quite a few rallies in Bridgenorth with Dudley detectorists, so I'm wondering if that's actually one from their dig. Anyway, well done to Mark Lambert on discovering that. Now, this one, for anybody interested, Dig Ventures are currently putting together, which I have signed up for, how to do archaeology, starting on June the 1st. It's a course which normally costs £49, and at the moment it's £0. And as you can see, the core skills that you'll look at, where you'll go through, is what happens before excavation, what happens during excavation, what happens after the digging is finished, and it comes in chapters. So there's your chapters. First steps: stratigraphy starter, context, section perfection, fabulous finds. Are you ready? Now, any metal detectorist, in my eyes, should definitely have a look at. It's free. What more could you ask for? It's free, so pop on to Dig Ventures shop, how to do archaeology. I've signed up, as I say, so there's £0 coming out of anybody's account, and hey presto, we're all learning that little bit extra, which I believe that we need in what we do. Carrying on. A farmer finds a Roman treasure trove scattered across a field. So that's the basic image. This is what you can see at the front there. Roman coins found in Poland. Marius Dill has been looking for abandoned antlers in a field near Chichobos, south of Hrubizau, Lublin, when he came across 2,000 coins scattered across 100 metres of the field. Absolutely beautiful. So fair dues to that man in Poland. Finally, I pop it up every week, the education page of the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine website, www.archmdmag.com, has editions. And as you can see, multiple editions for different areas to get open access information, courses, books, digital libraries, etc., etc. So the National Archives have been made, more have been made available at Chew, so you can pop on there and find out to your heart's content what's going on. That all worked. How good's that? Anyway, without further ado, our guest this evening is Mr. Adam Staples. A lot of people know Adam. A lot of people know Adam well. So here he is. Good evening, Adam. You're back.
Good evening, Dave. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm bored, but otherwise good. Yeah, nothing serious.
Have you been making a mine lab tower today then while you're bored?
Yeah, I've been using it like Lego. I've got so many metal detector boxes. I thought I'd build a fort.
Oh, what a great idea, a metal detector fort. Could we get away with that? Would the wife let me, do you reckon?
Mate, I'm so keen to get back to, anything metal detecting related.
Well, I know you work for Hanson's, which we'll speak about more so later, but you're due to go back in for a small period there, aren't you?
Yeah, next week we had to postpone the auction from the 26th, 27th of March due to the lockdown, but now we're going to run it online only, close to the public, just live streamed, and that'll be next week. So I've got a few days' work next week to do.
Well, if you can send us the stream link, we'll obviously be able to put that on the Archaeology Metal Detecting magazine social media sites and what have you, and hopefully gain you a little bit extra viewership or an interest.
Yeah, that'd be great. And I mean, Charles Hanson is a lot of fun. He's entertaining to watch, and we're going to go live half an hour before the auction. So yeah, it should be a bit of fun.
As long as he doesn't say bloody bugger and bum and such like.
You never know with Charles.
That's a northern joke. What was the steeplejack's name who said Blaster Bates? That was a Blaster Bates term, that was. That's been mum and dad have been albums. Hi, Michelle. Who's Michelle? Hi, Michelle.
Oh, Michelle's my girlfriend.
Ah, hello, Michelle. Nice to see and meet you by a picture in the corner. So, life's boring and you're just taking the dog for a walk and sitting in the house rocking, I take it.
Yeah, sitting rocking most of the time. Well, no, I've been out most days with the dog, and since you've been allowed to drive out for a bit of exercise, we've got out in the countryside. And but yeah, I was dying to get back out in the countryside, but now I can get back out there. It's still not the same as metal detecting. I'm still missing it.
Do you know I've been to the medical appointment in Wilmslow today, which is about half an hour drive. And do you know what the main thing that I've noticed, because I've not been out at all, Adam, how overgrown the world is.
Yeah.
So
I've seen there's a bowling green not far from me, and you wouldn't know it was a bowling green from the state of it.
Madness, isn't it? Absolute madness. Anyway,
Hi, Carl.
Hi, Carl. Carl Swain.
Sorry.
There's a new listener, new viewer as well. I say listener because we usually obviously do the podcast, but for those of you who are watching, let me just explain. Because the internet is so wildly used at the moment by all and sundry, everybody's kids on the tablet, everybody's on Netflix and whatnot. Obviously, internet usage in the UK is absolutely sky high. So unfortunately, when we're trying to put the podcast together at the same time as we're doing the show, we synchronize everything. Everything's run simultaneously. Unfortunately, at the moment, we can't do that because one of them gets kicked out. So we've decided the best thing to do is obviously continue the show as normal, because then we can download the audio file, which I've just downloaded the audio file from Sunday night special show and put that up today. So you can listen to the paranormal meets metal detecting and archaeology. So that's on the Spreaker account now, which is available via all good streaming podcast sites. So this will be available tomorrow for you to listen to as well. So you can send it to Carl to listen to, Adam. Anyway, moving on to metal detecting, because that's why we're here. How long have you been metal detecting?
Well, seriously, for the last 15 years. I started maybe 20 years ago, got into it for a year or two, had a few different machines, didn't really find very much. And then about 16 years ago, I just got the craving to go out and look for treasure again. So didn't have a car at the time either. Went out, bought a car, drove to a metal detector shop, bought the cheapest metal detector I could find, and got back out in the fields. And
you've had some minor success since.
Yeah, it took a while, but yeah, things are going all right now.
So give me some examples of the sites that you've actually worked on in the past 16 years.
Well, I've been all over the UK, well, all over England. I haven't been up to Scotland yet hunting. That's on my to-do list. But yeah, nearly every county in Britain detected, anything from Bronze Age sites, Celtic, Roman, Anglo-Saxon. Found a few hoards, lots of medieval hammered coins, a couple of milled gold coins. I was part finder of a hoard of gold milled about 9 years ago.
Wow. And you've been abroad as well?
Yeah, I've been to Croatia working with archaeologists over there. I went in 2015 to look for the site of a Roman battle, a lost battle site, where supposedly 20,000 people were killed, and the exact location of the battle isn't known. So we went over there, a team of us, and had a week hunting for the battle site. We didn't find it, but we identified, dozens of new archaeological sites. Mm-hmm. All the finds were donated to the museum. That was part of the conditions for getting a license to metal detect out there, because it's not as easy as it is in the UK to just get permission from a landowner and go treasure hunting.
What other differences are there between Croatian metal detecting and English? Is, soil type, conditions? Do you have to faff about with your machine settings to be working them conditions?
Not really, no. If you're on a busy Roman site with lots of iron, then ground balancing is still important. It's not much different to detecting a mineralized site here in the UK. Over there, they're still mostly using farming methods like in England in the 1960s. It's small holders mostly, and land's getting deep ploughed. There's no fertilizers being put on generally, and most of the finds are in really good condition. They're not attacked by modern chemicals.
Oh, that sounds fantastic. So what sort of things did you and the team, well, you primarily discover while you were there?
Loads of Roman coins, hundreds of Roman coins. Roman brooches, they're really prolific over there. Most of the fields have never seen a metal detectorist, and the first time we had miles and miles, square miles of land to just choose where we wanted to go there, GPS the finds, give them to the museum, and just let them know where new sites were that they'd never heard of.
That sounds absolutely fascinating. And did the archaeologists actually do any archaeology themselves whilst you were with them?
No, they were just mainly supervising. This was just field work. We didn't come across any any significant archaeological structures or anything that required digging, but we have identified quite a few sites that are now of protected status, the same as a scheduled monument would be here in England.
Wow, fantastic. And you were with Gordon Heritage, who's one of the people you were there with.
Yeah, Gordon was there. The first time Gordon drove me about in his truck. Gordon actually found a hoard of Roman coins while we were there. Wow. And there was a hoard of medieval hammered silver coins that was discovered between the group. I'm not sure how many we had, hundreds, but I had 10 that day and got bored of digging them up because it was, they're very small coins. They're only about half a gram, maybe 13, 14 millimeters. And I went off searching for more stuff, and I found a beautiful Iron Age brooch, silver brooch, and also a complete Bronze Age axe, and what appears to be, an ancient shrine site or something like that. There's a spring in the field. It was very waterlogged, and I think that's now a protected site.
That's fascinating. I bet you that was one of your favourite weeks ever in metal detecting.
Yeah, and one of my best days that I've ever had as well. It's I've had some really good days since, but yeah, that's a top 10 for sure. A magical experience. I've been back twice since then, and enjoyed it.
Fascinating. Now, I notice you've got a lot of Mine Lab equipment in the background and the Mine Lab T-shirt. That's your go-to machines.
Yeah, at the moment, yeah, the Equinox 800. That's my everyday machine. The last time I was in Croatia, somebody said to me, away from all the hype, I know you used to be a Deus user, yeah, and I said, yeah, I still own a Deus, and he said, yeah, but no ball here. If you could only have one machine, what would it be? And I said, well, I've come 1,500 miles to Croatia. I've only brought one machine. Look at what it is. Yeah. It's the Equinox, and yeah, that's my go-to. I've got the GPX 5000 as well, but that's a special occasions machine.
That's the polished one. So what about the Vanquish? It's had plenty of use, yeah, but as an everyday machine, the Equinox is much easier to get on with. Yeah. Once you've got an area, if you think there's deeper things, the Chew Valley Hoard, for instance, we thought we'd cleared that out. I went back there a month later with the GPX and found another 106 coins. Wow. Which
is mind-blowing.
So I see you've got the Vanquish there. Have you had much use out of that since its launch?
Yeah, I had the first day out with it. I had a phenomenal day. I found a Tilby cut quarter farthing. I found an Iron Age bird mount, a vessel mount in the shape of a water bird, and I found a complete Bronze Age axe as well.
Would that be one that I've got an image of to show later?
Yeah, you've got a photo of that.
That's fantastic. So
Yeah.
it works.
Yeah, and the last time I went, I've only been out with it 3 times, I think. It's because for a few weeks before lockdown, I was busy getting the auction catalogue together, making sure it was all good to go. So I had 3 weeks without going detecting before everybody else stopped as well. So I'm really, really missing it. But yeah, my last 3 times out were with the Vanquish, and it's a very good machine, especially given the price.
Yeah. And I take it you also represent Joan Allen.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm good friends with Luke, who runs Joan Allen, and he's looked after me with equipment in the past, and especially when we found the Hoard. He's he's a good mate.
To be honest, the first few machines I actually acquired via Joan Allen, obviously they'd done the finance payment, so I went that route at first, and everything was fine. I actually picked up a macro racer at one point, and the coil was wrong. There was something wrong with the coil, and between themselves and Nocta Macro, first rate experience of getting that sorted, no problem.
Yeah,
So,
well,
fair play.
they've got a great reputation for customer service, and I bought a Laser B3 off them in, I don't know how long ago, sometime in the 1990s. I bought a Laser B3 from Joan Allen, and I've got the old books written by Joan Allen herself from the 1970s.
I've got a number of old magazines. We spoke about it on the show the other night. Just pop one up. Treasure Hunting magazine from 1978, which was my dad's magazine, and I can't believe that Joan Allen have got big advertising in this. It's quite phenomenal to see a company last that long.
Yeah, it's really good to. You can go back as far as you want, I think, in the treasure hunting magazines, and they're still there. And I never met her, but I think she was a very canny woman. She knew what she was doing, and
Absolutely.
set up a great company, great reputation.
And it goes back to last year's Detectival, where they had the old-fashioned hut, the Joan Allen hut, which was a throwback to when they started. So that makes a lot of sense now. Obviously, I've seen that in the magazine. I know they weren't in cabins in the woods and what have you, but fantastic.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I just saw a question. Will I be trying the Apex out? Well, yeah, like everybody else, I'm interested to, see exactly what Garrett are coming out with this time. They say it's going to be completely different. Are we going to see multi-frequency from a different company to Minelab? True simultaneous multi-frequency? Or have they got something else up the sleeve? I don't know. I think it's good that, manufacturers are up in the game.
Absolutely. Jumping over to the live comments while we're there. Good evening to each and every one of you. I'm not going to name names because I'll lose track of where I am. I see a lot of new people watching the show tonight. I'll say hi to Sky. We have to say hi to Sky. Sky's our youngest viewer. And as I say, each and every one of you. Sky's 12. Sky's a 12-year-old metal detectorist, which she started. I think you might have seen some of the finds and the manner she was displaying her finds on the big
I've seen
Facebook
them
group. Absolutely brilliant. So kudos to Sky for that. As I say, thank you to each and every one of you. I noticed Hammy Hunters shared this show out on the group, the Detectorist Metal Detector UK. Thank you very, very much for that. It's very kind. If any of you do want to share it into your group, we would appreciate it greatly, because obviously this is one of only only a few chat shows in the UK on a Thursday night for metal detecting. So obviously get the information out there and more people can watch. It's not for us, it's for you. We're just, sadly, I'm crap at it, but I'm a host who's able to talk to people about metal detecting, which I like. So give it a share. We'd appreciate that greatly. So I'm going to go shortly over to some of the images that you sent me, and we'll discuss them. But before we do, during your career metal detecting, I'm sure you've been privy to some fun events, some hilarious events in metal detecting. Tell us about a few.
Oh, I wish you'd have primed me for this, but yeah,
Can't
I'm,
prime you for primed you for a bit, but I'm not going to
yeah,
prime you for everything.
it might take me to a few minutes to run through to any that are broadcastable.
Well, while you're mulling, I'll share the screen, and I'll go and have a look at some of the images. We'll start having a look at some of the images that you've sent over for us. So I just open the application window. Adam Staples should be sharing. When it does, I will start. There we go. So, where did we start? Where should we start? Tell me what. Who's this little fellow? He looks like a fun chap who really does enjoy his days out with you.
Right, I can't. Oh, I take it you're talking about Titan. Can you make the pictures bigger, Dave? Because I can't quite see them from where I'm sitting.
That's at its biggest, I'm afraid. Let me just see. Let me stop sharing and try again. Maybe we sometimes have an issue with the sharing, so wait for it to kick back in. So can you see it now?
There we go. Yeah, that's my little buddy Titan. Yeah, he's the blue staffy. He's 5 years old, and I was going to say he loves metal detecting. He loves stone hunting. He runs about the field. He picks up stones. He'll come and bite your wellies. He'll bite your trousers. He'll jump on your coil until you throw a stone for him, and then he'll just run about with that all day. Occasionally, he'll dig a hole to get a stone. If you can't find one on the surface, he'll get in your own hole while you're trying to dig finds out. Yeah, he has a ball when we're out there.
You want to get him one of them, something else to carry about in your bag, one of those like a 2 foot long plastic throwing thing that it's curved, so when you release the ball, it goes for miles. Get him one of them.
Yeah, well, he prefers stones to balls.
Get a slingshot.
Balls don't last long enough.
Get him a Black Widow. So, no, that's not where I want to be. Not just yet. So please bear with me while I get back to where I want to be. The images have all mixed themselves up, sadly. So this was one of the images that I absolutely loved. Because you've got Titan in the background, I take it it's a Roman amorphic brooch.
Yeah, it's a Roman zoomorphic plate brooch, 2nd century AD, something like that. It's got enamel decoration on there. I think it's probably a Saluki type dog, lurcher, that kind of animal. And yeah, I found it. Titan always comes over if I'm down. If I get my phone out to take a photo, if he's half a mile away, he'll come back to get in there. And yeah, it was just great to set it up, to his profile. Like that.
It's absolutely stunning. Where in the UK was that found? What county?
That was in Nottinghamshire.
Right. Absolutely stunning brooch. That fair play.
Yeah, to find it. I mean, I'm holding it by a leg, but to find one with the ears, the tail, the legs intact, it's quite rare. I found a lot of broken zoomorphic brooches.
Now, I hope I've got these in the right order that you sent them me. These were some of your... That's stunning. Can you tell us about that coin?
Yeah, that's a silver minim of a Celtic king from the south coast. This is found in Sussex, and it's a king called Hepaticus, and he was one of the sons of Commius, who was probably the most famous Iron Age chieftain in Britain. And yeah, it's a tiny coin. It only weighs 0.27 grams, and very difficult targets to find.
Is that a wolf head?
It's a boar head. It's a wild boar. I don't know if you're able to zoom in on it, but it's it's a beautiful rendering of a boar head.
You're putting me on the spot now. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. And you can see for a coin that's only, I think, 9 millimeters across, it's got fantastic detail.
Is that 2 coins or 1?
No, that's 2 coins. Yeah.
Right.
The one on the other side is Tincomarus, who was another son of Commius, or he claimed to be a son of Commius. Mm-hmm. They're not sure these were all actual blood relatives. It's
Beautiful.
a bit like the Roman method of having the next emperor, where they'd say, he's now my son, so he'll be the next emperor. They weren't
Yeah.
necessarily any relation whatsoever.
Now
Right,
tell us
yeah.
about these beautiful little darlings.
Oh, these are two of my favourites. Yeah, these are Iron Age gold staters. They're both northeast coast types. Corriel-Tarvey tribe, which is mostly the East Midlands of England, from Northamptonshire, Leicestershire, Lincolnshire, Nottinghamshire, up into South Yorkshire. That's the tribal area for these, and these are two of the earliest coins from that tribe. They're really big, they're very good quality gold, and they're heavy. They're both just over 6 grams.
Wow. Now, I'm not an expert. Could you tell me what the animals are on the coins?
Well, they're horses, and
Right.
they're both. The one on the left is a right-facing horse, and the one on the right is a left-facing horse. They're thought to have been struck at two different mints, operating simultaneously. One striking left-facing coins, one striking right-facing coins.
Isn't it mad that Iron Age man depicts the horse looking like that?
Yeah, well, I was reading an article the other day about it was on Chris Rudd's website, and they said it was about a particular type of stator where the horse is very, very abstract, and they were saying who other than somebody who was off their head on magic mushrooms or similar would engrave a horse that had a star for a chest and lines coming out of its rear, and you wonder whether they did have any sort of extra influence on their artistic license.
Beautiful. I mean, this one here, that there looks like the bow of a ship. What would we explain that? And these moons. And
Right. This is all
not tire tracks, but tire tracks.
Yeah. Well, for this, you've got to go back to sort of 4th century BC, Macedonia, and the status of Philip II of Macedon, and they were popular coins, and they started to spread throughout Europe. And as they did, the local tribes cottoned on to using money and started creating their own imitations. And over the course of 250 years, it got cruder and cruder, and different tribes interpreted it in different ways. So what you've actually got on there are the vestiges of the head of Apollo.
Right.
And the lines along the bottom, they're the remnants of lines of the cloak on his chest. The crescents that you can see, they are hair curls around. It's a profile bust facing right. So if you imagine the bottom crescent is his ear, and then the crescent above that is a hair curl, and then you can see the laurel wreath going up his head. Those bricks angling upwards. Yeah, and most Celtic coin dies were actually bigger than the coins they were striking. So quite often you'll get a one-sided design. You might get some of the face, another time you'll get none of the face, but you'll get the back of the design. And
that's fascinating. Yeah. Absolutely fascinating.
And you can see, although the other coin was struck at a different mint, you're following that same, the same pattern with the line through the middle, the wreath. Although the wreath on the big coin on the right, you can see the leaves point outwards from the bar.
Yeah.
The top ones point upwards, the bottom ones point downwards. Whereas on the coin on the left, they're all going the same way.
Yeah. Intriguing. Right, where should we go next? There was that one, wasn't there? Have I stopped sharing there? Has it come up?
Yeah.
It's come up. Sorry. Again, we see the horse on the right, and
yeah. Well, these 3 coins, I found all these over the course of 3 days on 2 different fields in one weekend. So to get, the Olympic set, the gold, silver, and bronze, it was quite a weekend. The coin on the left is Ambiani tribe, which is a tribe from northern France. And their coins came to England in quite high numbers during the time that Caesar was rampaging across France, conquering it. So that one on the left dates to about 70 BC, I think, something like that, 60 BC. The one on the right is actually a forgery of a gold coin like we just saw, the northeast coast type. it should be gold. It should be 6 grams of gold, and it's actually 4 grams of bronze.
Wow.
And it would have either been gold plated to look like gold, or possibly just really high polished bronze that, you know, in the dark or by firelight, you'd have got away with passing it off as a genuine gold coin.
And it apart from obviously the coloration, it's stayed remarkably well.
Yeah, it's very well preserved. It's got a great patina on it.
Is that the sun on the right hand
Yeah.
side? Yeah.
Well, it could be a sun or a star. I think it's described as a star, you know, in the catalogue. But whether it's the sun, there are some theories that the pellets above the horses represent certain constellations in the sky. You know, they look like random pellets to us, but are they? You know, was there some deeper meaning to it that's been lost over time?
And finally, this is the silver. Are you able to say much about that one?
Yeah, the silver at the bottom, that's the Corioltavi tribe as well, and that dates to probably 0 to 10 AD, something like that. It says Vep above the horse on there, and this is from when, you know, kings and rulers first started putting their names on coins in Britain. And this is the first person. Well, we assume it's a person. It could be a place name. It could be propaganda. But the guy Vep, he had some coins that say Vepcorf or Vepacombs on there, and he's the first one who started, or she possibly is the first one who started making inscribed coins in my area.
Do you know, Adam? That's what I do when there's something going on in the street. I have a propaganda. Wah, 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 wah. I think finally this was the last one of what you sent this morning. Now that is something else. Absolutely stunning.
Yeah, this is Adam's Dragons. That's it's a unique Celtic coin. Sorry, it was the first recorded Celtic coin. I know there's another one out there now, although that one's a plated one. But yeah, this was a totally new type, previously unrecorded. I found it on a rally in 2015, I think. It does say down the bottom, 2015, and it's the Belgae tribe. It was probably struck at Danebury Hill Fort or somewhere nearby. And it's a totally new design, never seen before, and I was fortunate to have it named after me. There are 4 what they call dragon's heads, you know, in a spiral on one side, and hence Adam's Dragons. So that's something I'm really proud of.
You couldn't ask for a better find, could you? I mean, even if there was 100, 200, 300,000, to pick something out of the ground like that is phenomenal. Yeah,
and I had a great weekend rally as well. I found 3 Celtic coins that weekend, but this one will always be a special find.
Anyway, we'll leave the images for a wee while, and we'll move on. So, of all of them, I take it Adam's Dragon will be one of your favourite coins that you found.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, to find, I'm really into Celtic coins. I'm very passionate about them, and to find and have a coin named after me is fantastic. It's something I could have only dreamed of.
We have a question from. What's he doing now? Are you pointing at?
Sorry, I couldn't see. I couldn't see Scott's comment. Adam, have you still got it? Is it in a museum? The Adam's Dragon? No, it's not in a museum. I sold it. I sold it at auction, and that was part of the process. For if I'd have kept it to myself, then it might never have been published. So I sent it to auction. It got a lot of publicity. It's fixed with my name forever. It's been properly recorded, and maybe one day it'll come back to me. I'd like that.
That'd be fantastic. Michelle asks, what about the Chimeri Russell effect? Can you tell us more?
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, this is to do. I know we've just seen the photos of the coins, from above on both sides. They've one thing with Celtic coins, they're such high relief, and some of the designs, you look at them end flat like this, as you turn them to your eye, you start to see them in 3D. And like these sculptures you see that look like nothing until you're at the right place and everything sort of interlocks and you see an elephant or a giraffe. There are quite a few Celtic coins, particularly the ones with profile busts, where as you turn them to the side, you actually see a full-on portrait, three-dimensional. Whereas when you look at it from above, you might see a nose like here, and the eye is somewhere over there. And then as you turn it, they come together, and then you've got a face.
That's mad as cheese. Now, the ability to design and create something like that way back when, that's something special.
Yeah, it is. And a lot of people say to me when I show them things I've found, they say, wow, how did they make that back then? And it's the same way that people make beautiful things today. This is, craftsmen, artists, people just with simple tools making amazing things.
Unbelievable. Paul Grimley asked, do all staters have a horse on one side?
No, not all staters. The majority of them do have horses, but you've got exceptional ones like the Norfolk Wolf staters, which they have a wolf instead of the horse.
Are they the one with Romulus and Remus feeding from underneath type?
No, they're Roman coins.
Right.
But yeah, the Norfolk Wolf stater is very similar to the gold ones that you just saw on the photos, except the horse has been replaced by a wolf.
Wow.
And it's got snapping jaws with big teeth, bristly back, and the other side is again just a disjointed head of Apollo, similar to most British early staters, but yeah, with a clear wolf on the other side. So whether somebody misinterpreted, they looked at a stater and thought, what's that, like you said, what kind of animal's that? And somebody might have said, it's a wolf, and they're just like, okay, I'll make some with a wolf on it. Or maybe it was, something deeper than that. They decided that their tribe, was stronger and that wolves were better than horses. And,
Now, I know you work for Hanson's, and obviously you're discussing each and every find that we've seen and answering the questions. How have you amassed the knowledge of coins and the representations and the styles and, all the information about them? How have you amassed that information?
Just because I'm fascinated by it, or I read whatever I can find on it, and I'm just intrigued by everything behind them. Who was making these coins? We don't even know really. We know what tribe or what tribal area they were being made in, but were they being made by the king? Were they being made by merchants? Who decided what was on the coins? Did they just go to somebody and say, make me some coins? Or did they say, right, I've got a very specific design here and you've got to copy this exactly right because it means something? Did everybody understand what it meant? It's, and it's got so many parallels with like modern society. If you went on holiday, for instance, and you get a load of euros or, I don't know, money from another country, Australia, for instance, do you know who the people on that money are? Mm-hmm. You see a picture of a man on a £5 note. Do you know it's Winston Churchill? Do you know why it's Winston Churchill on there? Do you know what Winston Churchill did? Yeah. We might do, but somebody from another country or, somebody younger or somebody who just doesn't care about that might not even look, oh, it's got a man on it. So it's fascinating to draw these parallels because people, don't really change. Human nature hasn't changed over 2,000 years. All the practices that went on over 100 years of Celtic coins, they went from having quite a lot of gold in and being heavy to getting lighter and lighter. The gold went down, the weight went down, but presumably they were still the same value. And then, after the wars in Britain, they changed from having silver coins down to 50% silver coins. So all the silver coins come in, we take half the silver out and make them into the same amount of money and keep the profit. Yeah. And then after the Second World War, they did the same again and, took all the silver out of the coins. So you get in, £10 million worth of silver bullion, and then you give out £1 million worth of cupro nickel bullion, and you make £9 million profit for nothing.
Never thought of it in that way.
And
makes perfect sense.
And we can come on to this when we get into the Chew Valley Hoard as well, because it was the same in medieval times. They changed the coin designs every 3 years and made it illegal for the old coins to circulate. So you had to take your money to a moneyer who would say, oh yeah, you've got 100 coins there, I'll charge you 10% and I'll give you 90 new style coins back.
Yeah.
And that would be his profit, and he'd pay tax to the crown for the right to be a moneyer. And it's just a way of generating income.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to have a break for 2 minutes, Adam. Roll the VTs, Luke, and I'll speak to you in a moment.
I'm Dave D, and you're watching XP Team USA.
Sorry, it's DJ.
I think this is what comes or a toy shop. A little bit too about the situation.
I think the you actually been involved with.
Well, while Adam was probably having a bit of a vape, I was raving out to the new big metal detecting podcast, radio show, TV show, video that Luke's created, because I think it's fantastic. And I'm here tonight in my Walter Kills World Tour because I'm a wrestling fan. So they're my one of my pro wrestling tees. Anyway, back to it. I asked you earlier, Adam, one of the fun events that you've been privy to. And you've had a good half hour to mull it.
Well, yeah. Well, one of the funny things last year that with Detectable, the week before Detectable, I met up with my friend Lee, who he's got a Facebook page, Bondi Treasure Hunter. He's an Aussie guy. He lives in Amsterdam. He came over for the week before, and we had some great times the week before. We went in the local village pub and we met this guy who knew all the local farmers, and he was telling us where to go, and we'd all had a few drinks, and then he was like, okay, and he got out this great big old accordion and started banging out modern classics on it like it was a jukebox. It was, he wasn't playing old music, he was playing really good music, and really surreal experience that was. And then unfortunately we went out with the Garrett Team Anaconda Treasure, the American Diggers. We went out for a night out with them and some other friends, and the next day we had to go to Detectable. Lee was working on the Mine Lab stand and he was broken. We had to stop quite a few times to be sick, and then we're heading up from Hampshire to Detectable, which is in Oxfordshire, and he says, here, turn left. No, that's the M4. We're going straight up to Oxford. No, he says turn left on the sat nav, and yeah, the Mine Lab Hotel was an hour's drive from Detectable.
Who told us
was
that?
It was at Cheltenham.
It's Julian, isn't it? He's the Mind Lab rep for.
Yeah, Julian Salmon.
Yeah, he told us about that. He said, "Oh,
Yeah.
I can't believe what's that." So, but thankfully, when I got here, somebody had got me a Costa.
But yeah, he said, because he was going to catch the train up, and I was like, no, stay for another day, and we'll drop you off. And he said, "Will you drop me off at the hotel?" Yeah, of course we can. Obviously, it's going to be somewhere pretty close to Detectable, so it's not going to be far out of our way.
Yeah, and I slept in my car. Scotty B's asking you give him a PM, a private message after the show, if you can remember.
Yeah, all right, Scott.
So where are we? Anyway, so
I had a great laugh with Scotty at Detectable as well, where the guy with the travelling pub, he was a good laugh. We had some good nights with him, because I arrived on the Thursday, I didn't go home until the Monday, and on the Sunday night when most people had gone, he was he'd had a few shandies, shall we say, and me and Scott took over his bar, and and we had a happy hour where everything was free.
when you say Scott took over the bar, could he see above the bar?
Yeah, well, people were asking him for ID, even though he was serving them.
Well, on the Saturday night after the Mind Lab had their soiree, Luke, myself, Dan Spencer, obviously quite a few other people were in their tent, and Scotty B come in, disappeared, and he said, "Dave, mate, whatever you do, get me up at 8:30 tomorrow morning, please." I said, "Yeah, mate, no problem, I'll do that." So I'm up at, I don't know, 6:30, go and have my breakfast, set up the stall for the day, etc., sit round chatting, and I better go and get Scotty up. So toddled over to his camper, because he camped next to us in the merchants area. So his wife's there, Katrina, in the waves. I said, "Where is he?" She went, "You'll never wake him up." So why not? She went, "He was bladdered, Dave." So goes in the thingy. "Scotty," I'm shaking him up and down on the bait. The van's going. Pulled him out of his bed, jumped on him, starfished him, dragged him out of the bloody camper van, and he's there. All right, I'm up. 2:00 in the afternoon he turned up, and he can't remember any of that. We had to send him video footage as proof.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, I had a great
Legend.
time with Scotty. He's good fun. And I don't know if Scotty's event, his Detecticon, still going ahead or not.
Currently, I think he's still got it advertised, and they're still hoping. But obviously, in the current environment, I think he'll be making a decision in the next couple of weeks, which I'm sure he'll comment on. Moving on, we can see lots of lovely things in my hand at the moment. Where are we? I can't do it. There you are. Lots of lovely things in my hand. So, the Chew Valley Hoard. Now, this is a hoard of Norman coins discovered by yourself and 5 other people.
6 other people. Yeah, there was 7 of us in total. And yeah, it was January last year on some friends, and they were all Deus users before. I was a Deus user, and I moved to the Equinox. And they were always asking me, "Is it better? Is it better?" Well, yeah, that's why I'm using it. And then eventually, they bought one, and I was on the phone, giving advice over the phone. And I said, "If you can get anywhere to, for us to go, I'll come down. We'll make a weekend of it. We'll go out, have a few beers, go detecting." So that's what we did. And after, I don't know, maybe 6 hours detecting on the first day, one of my friends shouted, he said, "I've got a hammered." And I went over, I said, "What is it?" He said, "I don't know." Went over, he was pulling the soil off it, and it was a beautiful William I penny. Absolutely beautiful condition, blue toning. And, it was great. We did a bit of a video of it, took some photos. What a great result. And then walked on from that, and within a couple of feet, I got a signal, and it was a 16 on the Equinox, hammered coin sort of sound. And your first thought is, God, is this another one? I think that every time I find something good, if I find a piece of gold, if I find a Roman coin and you get a signal 2 feet away, you think, is this another? You always think, oh, am I onto something amazing? So dug it up, and it was another William the First coin, and there was a Harold coin in the hole as well. So, I mean, these are the William the First are pretty rare. Harold coins, I had one. I wanted to find one since I started detecting. It's the Battle of Hastings. Harold, arrow in the eye, and about 3 or 4 years ago, I found a cut half of Harold, and I was over the moon with that. So all of a sudden, it's gone from a William the Conqueror to 2 William the Conquerors and a Harold as well. And then one of the others was like, I've got signals here as well, dug down. There's, those signals there. There's coins in the hole. There's another signal over here. And then it was like, oh, God, and then it's like, there's 10 coins now. And in monetary terms, that first coin was maybe £1,000, £1,500 coin, and then another William, wow, that's £2,000 or £3,000 worth of find. The Harold, maybe £4,000 or £5,000 for one of them. So straight away, this is becoming something really, really significant, not only financially, but historically as well, because these are both sides of the Battle of Hastings. Presumably you wouldn't have had coins of Harold and William going together at the same time. And so, yeah, and then we got to 30 coins, 40 coins, and said, look, we better get in touch with the landowner here. And so we rang the landowner. He came down. It was the first time I'd ever met him. And we're showing him these coins, and he's saying, what are they? And I'm saying, they're medieval coins. These are Anglo-Saxon. These are Norman. They're 1066. They're Battle of Hastings. They're worth an absolute fortune. And he was sort of like, well, are you sure? They look like milk bottle tops to me. No, they are. And hi, Richard. Hi, Adam. Who's the biggest arse in detecting? You don't want me to answer that, Rich? Really? Sorry, Richard's a good friend. Yeah, so anyway, he said, look, I said, we need to get archaeologists down here, really. And he said, well, you seem to know what you're doing, so crack on. And then he came back with some buckets to put the coins in. And we carried on. I tried to get a flow to come down. I rang almost every flow in the country. I couldn't get anybody. It was a Saturday. Mm-hmm. And eventually I'd spoke to Julian Evan Hart earlier that day, or the day before, and I rang Julian and said, have you got any emergency numbers for PAS, anything like that? And he said no, but his boss Dan, who you'll know, Dan's personal friends with Michael Lewis, who's head of PAS, and I'm not sure which one. One of them was on holiday somewhere as well in a different country. But Julian got the word out, and it went up the chain far enough to get to Michael Lewis, and then it came down the chain, and I had a flow on the phone within half an hour. Talked through what was going on. He told me what we should be doing. We were already doing it, but I thought, this is something really significant we could do with someone coming down. But he said, if there's any signs of a container, anything in situ, stop and we'll reassess it. But there wasn't. I was expecting to find a Lembera type, a big lead box full of coins that had been split somewhere, and that eventually we was going to come across, thousands together. But we carried on. It started pouring with rain. The landowner came back with a load of waterproofs for us to put on, and we just carried on, just getting loose coins out of the plough soil. And maybe 4 hours it took before we were confident we'd got, at least most of them.
Mm. So how many did you find on that particular day?
2,400 and something. I don't know. We didn't count them, you see. We have no idea how many there were. I thought we had maybe 1,000. And some of the ones that had just been found loose we had in a pot, and the rain had washed some of them. So I took 50 of them back to the bed and breakfast where I was staying, and just ran them under the tap so we could identify, exactly what they were, get an idea of what was in the hoard. And the rest of them were left with the soil on, just in a big bucket. And then over the course of the weekend, we were just sat about biting our nails, wondering what we're going to do. And the Flow offered to come and collect them, but wasn't going to wouldn't be going to the British Museum anytime in the near future. So we got in touch with the British Museum and said, can we come and bring them down ourselves? And so on the Tuesday morning, we set off in convoy down to the British Museum and dropped them off. And
the image that's on screen at the moment is this day one.
Yeah, this is the first day. That's my waterproof jacket there. And so when it started raining, I got quite wet. But yeah, I think that might be, I don't know, halfway through the day. There looks to be a lot of coins on there. They don't look wet though, so that's not the end.
Fantastic. This is an image that them all bagged up at the British Museum.
Yeah. So yeah, we did count them all before we took them to the British Museum. Obviously, with something like that, we wanted to have an idea of what we had rather than just hand in a big, bucket of soil. So we went through them, and I think it was 2,400 and something. It changed slightly because there were some broken fragments in there, and when they went through cataloguing, they managed to piece some of them up. So the count that we had was slightly higher than the count that they had.
Yeah.
These two coins here, the one on the left is William the Conqueror, but this is a very rare type. It's a right-facing bust when it should be a left-facing bust. Oh. There aren't many known of them previously, but there were 20 of those in the hoard. And the last one that sold at auction of that type with a right-facing bust was £8,000.
Wow!
And so the one on the right is Harold, and this is rare that you're going to get the Battle of Hastings on your hand like that, both facing each other.
Yeah.
So yeah, just it's literally history in your hand.
This is one of the obviously more used media images.
Yeah, this is at the British Museum after they cleaned and conserved them. They said they didn't need any conservation. I think there were 20 or 30 coins that were in there that were green, like they'd been stuck together in a little parcel, but they did conserve them, and they came up just as good as the rest. The other ones, they just rinsed in water.
So Adam, what's the current standing total of the Chew Valley Hoard?
It's 2,582. There was a bit of confusion in the paper where somebody got two of the digits the wrong way round, and then it was anything from 2,528 to 2,852, and but no, 2,582 is the official amount.
People much more learned than you and I have classed this as a history-changing find as well.
Oh, it definitely is. The Harold coins are mostly southern mints, a lot of them from Sussex as well, which is where the Battle of Hastings was. And they're sort of grouped around the south, indicating they came from circulation somewhere in that area. And they were all struck in 1066. Yeah. He only reigned for 1 year. These are struck in 1066. And then the Williams, which was struck from 1067, 1068, they're mostly, sort of southwestern area. They're up a little bit. They're more local to the area they were found in Somerset. So it's maybe somebody who had a payment to do with Hastings. And there's so many. It's more than doubled the number of Harold I coins previously known. And there are 5 times as many coins of William I type 1 than were previously known. And they're not all from different mints, but they're from a variety of mints. Some of the mints are totally unrecorded for that ruler. There are some Bath Mint Harold coins, and Bath is a completely unknown mint for Harold.
Right.
And there are 2 mules they've got Harold on one side and the reverse of William I as well. Wow. Totally unheard of. There are 5 coins of a new type for Harold, which has got a really flamboyant bust and an inner circle, inside the legend, which you don't usually have on Harold. So
you've just said about Harold on one side and William on the other. Would that coin itself be an exceptional coin unheard of, and therefore.
Oh yeah, these are
worth
these
an
are
absolute
totally
fortune.
unheard of. Yeah, and if one was to go to auction, what price could you put on that?
Yeah.
It's William and Harold. Everybody knows 1066.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah,
one
yeah.
date that probably, that you're never
Everyone in
going to
the
get
UK
on.
knows,
Yeah, if you went on Family Fortunes, we asked 100 people to name a famous battle date. It's going to be Hastings 1066,
It is, yeah.
and to get that on one coin it's never been possible before.
So there's been lots of suggestion about why the hoard had been buried. What are the experts' opinion on why the hoard was there?
Well, we haven't had much speculation from the experts about why it was there. But, there are certain things going on in that area at that time. My personal theory is, we've got 1,200 and something coins, I think 1,258 coins of Harold from, 1066. And then we've got 1,300 coins of William from 1067. So I'm wondering if it's sort of a yearly payment, tax to a landowner, a year's rent from an estate, a year's income, something like that. Now, in 1068, Harold Godwinson's sons, who were in exile in Ireland, they came back to Somerset trying to raise an army to take on William. And they went to Bristol trying to gain support. They were turned away from Bristol, and they went on a bit of a, classic Viking style rampage, doing a bit of raping and pillaging and burning the towns and things like that in the area. So, it's possible that they were put away, maybe just for safekeeping. Every year I'll put 1,200 coins away for my retirement. And then in 1068, somebody was killed and it never got recovered.
Yeah.
Well, it could have been spoils from, raiding in that period.
Yeah,
it could literally have just dropped off the back of a wagon.
Yeah. Well, we've got a short video that you've provided us. And what I'd like people to do is offer for the last 5 seconds, I'd like to see what your reaction is and see if it correlates with mine. Because I was dumbstruck. So, playing the video now. You'd like to give us a talk through it all, Adam?
Well, this is just a close-up of the coins that I washed under the tap on the first day, and this is while we were counting the coins on the Monday, and you can see just how far it goes. It took 4 hours just to count them out.
That's the point. I'd like people to offer their reaction.
It's 2,500 coins sounds a lot, but when you see 2,500 hammers spread out like that, and they are, such phenomenal coins as well. It's just mind blowing.
It's mind blowing just to see that. As I texted you this afternoon, I swore when I saw that. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, that's actually the original sound as well. I didn't remove the sound off that, but that was about take 15, because trying to keep 7 people quiet for 20 seconds while looking at all that was impossible.
I think TC Detect Tony K Woods had the most similar reaction to my own.
Yeah.
It's absolutely something else. Fair dues to each and every one of the 6 of you for recovering history and making history.
I know I'm on here talking about it, but it wasn't just me. I got a bit of flack at the time because it was only myself and Lisa that was doing the publicity, and people saying, there was a rumor that it was found on a rally and we were making out it was us. It's not. The other lads, they don't want the publicity. They're not in the limelight. They don't want, people knocking on the door asking them, are they millionaires and stuff. They chose to stay out of it. We respected that. We've never claimed, that it was a single find or nobody else was involved. And if they do decide to come forward at some point, that's up to them. But that's their decision.
Has this gone through the process and the treasure and what have you at the moment?
Yeah, at the moment, they were taken to the British Museum, declared, under the Treasure Act. That was in January. They were then cleaned and catalogued by the British Museum. The museum held a press conference in August last year and gave the report to the coroner. So the next stage is for the coroner to hold an inquest to decide whether they're treasure or not. We hoped that stage would be, fairly quick. But speaking to the coroner in December last year, they said they'd just been so busy, dealing with deaths and families and things like that, they couldn't fit it in, and it would hopefully be the first quarter of this year. Now, with the state of, Britain and the health service at the moment, I don't know when they're going to get around to bothering with things like treasure. It's not, it's not the most important thing that's going on at the moment.
It's mad, isn't it, that the coroner deals both with treasure and with death. You'd think there'd be a separate entity to be able to deal with things like that.
Yeah, it's a very strange situation. I know they had the idea that they were going to have a single coroner to deal with treasure countrywide a few years ago, but that never took place. I don't think there was the funding to have, just a coroner just to deal with treasure. So it falls to the regional coroners to deal with the treasure cases in their area as and when they can.
Richard Lincoln asks, would a hoard of this size have a negative effect on the market value of Harold and William coins?
Yeah, well, this is an interesting question, because really it should. Like I said, it's more than doubled the amount of Harold coins. I think there was 700 known before that, and now there's 1,200 of them in this hoard. So there are a lot more coins. They're not as rare as they were. But these coins will probably never find their way onto the open market. These will go to a museum somewhere. And so they won't flood the market, and they won't affect, the price, really. I've been following the price of the coins since finding the hoard. Obviously, I've got a vested interest in this, seeing as we're going to be getting a valuation at some point. But no, it's not affected the price of Harold's whatsoever. People aren't panic selling because they know, there's 1,000 more been found. And they're still fetching as strong money as ever.
What type of emotions have you been through since finding the hoard?
Yeah,
another curveball.
About every emotion going through. I mean, as far as the hoard's concerned, no, it's been good. It's been mostly highs. There haven't been many lows with that so far. The amount of time it's taken, is a bit of a drag, but it's, sometimes it's like a dream, like it didn't happen. It was amazing at the time, and now 14 months on, 15 months on, life hasn't changed regarding that. It's a life-changing hoard, or it's just another find that's been found, it's gone to the museum, and nothing else has changed, really.
Yeah. That night, the Saturday night that you first found them, how was sleep?
I didn't have much sleep at all. We went to the pub straight after we packed up. Went to the local pub at maybe 6 o'clock in the evening. Had a few beers, and I had the little Tupperware pot with I think 58 coins that were in there. And that was on the table, and we kept looking out because they were in the back of the car. We kept looking out the window. Are they okay? Are they okay? We sat in the only place where we could see the car through the window, because if you had £1 million, £2 million, £5 million in cash, you wouldn't just leave it in your car and risk it. And we weren't sure what to do at all. And then when we left the pub a couple of hours later, I was that concerned, was still looking at the car. I actually started to walk out without the Tupperware pot with the coins in, and maybe 100 grand's worth of coins on the table. And I'm walking out. I look back to make sure I hadn't left anything. Oh yeah, I left 100 grand on the table. I got my vape and my car keys, but yeah, forgot about the 100 grand.
And has life changed since finding the hoard?
Well, it's changed quite a lot. My personal circumstances have changed quite a bit. I split up with my partner of 18 years. And and now, I've got a new partner. Life goes on. I'm back at work. I left Hanson's just over 2 years ago. to concentrate more on treasure hunting, and now, back to treasure hunting on my own, keeping a roof over my head, and back to working. So the auction's keeping me busy.
And talking of the auctions, I think it's about time that we went on to there. We've got some more images and whatnot, so let's hope the screen shares a little bit quicker. Paul Grimley says, well done on the Hoard, and wish all 7 of you the best with it. I hope you've been through the coroner, a bit publicity to counter the streak of bad publicity the hobby has had recently. So the screen is sharing.
Yeah. Thanks, Paul.
Which is nice. So I'll let you introduce what this is about.
Right, well, this, at the moment, on the Historica Facebook page, Historica is the department that I work in at Hanson's. We deal with ancient coins, artifacts, the kind of things you might dig up metal detecting, or, some things from worldwide, really. We've got an auction next week on the 6th and 7th of May. It's the auction that should have taken place, just after lockdown started. But yeah, it was a bit of promotion. We're giving away that coin at the bottom, which is a silver coin of Gordian III. It's mid-3rd century silver coin. It's in beautiful condition. And you just share the post, comment on the post. And on Thursday night, when the auction finishes, I'm going to go live. We'll do a random number generator, and someone will win that coin.
Fantastic. Well, as I said before, we'll certainly be... I take it the live stream will be on Historica, or will it be on the Facebook group, or will it be on the website? Yeah,
I think we'll be streaming it live on the Historica page as well. It'll be live on Hanson's website, which is hansonslive.co.uk.
Brilliant. Well, as I said, we'll be able to share that, no problem. So people can see exactly what's going on through our channels.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how we're doing it technically. They ran a bit of an experiment a few weeks ago where Charles Hanson did a charity auction for the NHS, just with donations from the public, and he raised 30 grand with that. I think that was using Zoom. So I think that's the software we're going to be using. But we're going to go live half an hour before. I'm going to be doing a run through some of the star lots that we've got, and a bit of a tour of all the finds on display. Well, they're not all finds, the coins and the artifacts. But working there, it's akin to going to a good museum, except I get to handle all these things. We've got a fantastic array of items in at the moment, including the best Saxon brooch I've ever seen. You've got a picture of it, Dave.
Yeah, it stopped sharing again. So, here we go. Fantastic. Well, that was the first image I pulled up.
Oh, yeah, that's an Edward III Gold Noble, which, well,
was that Scotty's
found a few of those. No, I don't think it was found in Derbyshire.
Right. There was a news story last year we covered in the end of year review, and there was actually one discovered in Derbyshire, not dissimilar. Here we have a...
Right, this is a very rare coin. This is, it's to do with, Edward V, the princes in the tower.
Right.
And although it's struck in Edward's name, the name of Edward V, it's got the boar's head mint mark, or initial mark, which shows it was under the power of Richard III. Now, depending which reference book you read, some of them attribute it to Richard, but struck in Edward's name after Richard took over. Some of them attribute it to Edward V, struck in his lifetime, but with Richard as protector, and that's why it's got Richard's boar head insignia on it. But it's a very rare coin, known from only a handful of examples, and easily overlooked if you don't know what you're looking at.
Now, this image you sent me, to me, just looked like some beads. Now, you're going to obviously offer a better description.
Well, that's exactly what they are, Dave. Yeah, they're beads, but these are from a 7th century Anglo-Saxon cemetery.
Wow.
And they're part of a collection that was amassed by an archaeologist in the 60s and 70s. And he dug the whole cemetery, catalogued it, archived it. He passed away a few years ago. His family have got all the site archive, all the finds, There are hundreds of beads. You know, some are decorated glass, amber, rock crystal, and as well as brooches, knives, spears, pottery. It's a huge collection and a rare thing to see complete outside of a museum.
So that's being a divvy. Oh, it happened again. Lost me again. Right. Oh, yeah, back again. So, this is a nice little emblem on this. Nice shield.
Yeah, this is a heraldic mount, and it relates to the Dispenser family. And the
Hugh
son,
Dispenser.
Hugh Dispenser, yeah, and I think he was killed on the battlefield, and his son was arrested for treason and met a very grisly end. He was dragged through the streets. He was attacked by the public. He was tied to a ladder. He was castrated. I think he might have been fed his own genitals. Some of his entrails were set on fire in front of him while he was still alive. He was hanged and then let back down before he actually died completely. They made a right example of him. So a bit of horrible history with that one.
I'm just Googling on my phone at the same time because I'm sure that this relates to something I've looked at in the past. No, the name rings a bell anyway. But a beautiful piece. Is that like a badger on top and dragons at the side?
I'm not sure if they're actual animals or what they're meant to represent, some mythical beast. Well, yeah, maybe a wyvern on the right. You know, a sort of mythical creature.
A gorgeous piece. Tell us about that.
This is absolutely fantastic. An Anglo-Saxon square-headed brooch, and it's in perfect condition. It's gilded. You know, it's fully gilded. It's still got the pin on the reverse. This was excavated from a grave. This is not a metal detector find, but it's something I would love to find with a metal detector. I found pieces.
What's the material beneath the gild?
Oh, it's bronze.
Stunning. What does that weigh?
God. 176 grams.
Wow.
I think. God, you could have given me some warning for that one. I could easily have looked it up.
Now, this beautiful little ring.
Yeah, and this one is a metal detecting find. This is a ring that's been found and gone through the treasure process. It's a medieval stirrup ring, 12th, 13th century, something like that. And it's got clasped hands at the shoulders. It's set with a sapphire, and it's got an inscription around the band, which is it's an abbreviated version of the French phrase, which means "I am here in place of a friend." So this is probably a gift from a friend or a lover to say, you know, I'm going somewhere, wear this ring and think of me. And yeah, it's just in fantastic condition as well for a detector find.
Now that is fascinating to understand what the inscription says. I think finally here we've got one more coin.
Yeah, this coin, this dates to the anarchy period in England, when Stephen and Matilda were arguing over who was going to be king or who should be king. It's late 1130s through to about 1150. And this is Patrick, Earl of Salisbury. He was a supporter of Matilda. You know, he was opposed to the king. And Matilda took control of Bristol and the surrounding area. And they were striking their own coins, the local lords. You know, as we talked about earlier, you know, making revenue, paying for the army. And this is only the fourth known example of this type. And it was found near Salisbury last year. And it's a very rare coin, and I think it'll do very well.
Fantastic. Well, as I say, don't forget to, I'll keep an eye on the historic Facebook page, but don't forget to give me a gentle reminder.
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah, if not, give me a reminder to remind you. But yeah, everything will be on the Historica Facebook page. We'll put updates on there, and if it's not streamed on there, there'll be a link where you can view it.
So the small team at Historica is yourself, Mark Betcher. Is there anyone else involved in that?
Yeah, it's me, Mark Betcher, Alan Smith of Essex Coins, and Charles Hanson.
Right. So you've got to be the auction itself. Is it just related to things like this, or is there other things in the auction?
Well, there's artifacts, anything from pottery right through to brooches. Strap ends, belt fittings, rings, jewelry. We've got posy rings in this auction. Some Georgian mourning rings as well, which they seem to be quite popular. There's one that says "Prepare to follow" on there. It has a skull on there, and this is to remind yourself when somebody died.
Yeah.
Quite often in their will, they would make a provision for, make 6 gold rings and give them to each member of my family. And this is sort of, I'm dead, but you're next, sort of,
Obviously,
sort of message.
For people who are involved in metal detecting, archaeology and such like, it's also a good idea to watch it. Don't take any notice of what things are selling for, but you are going to learn about different things, and you may be able to identify something that you have yourself just by looking at what's in the auction, because I'm sure you'll be discussing in depth what each item is as it's for sale.
Yeah, and the catalogues online. If you go to the Historical Facebook page, look through. You don't have to be bidding. There's some beautiful items in there, some beautiful pieces of art, and or just to look through and think, oh, I've found a piece of one of them, and recognize your own finds through that. This is how I've amassed my knowledge, is just through, I think I've read every single treasure hunting magazine and every single searching magazine since they first came out, and and the books, and just absorb yourself in it. I'm lucky that my life's been taken over by it virtually, so I see a lot of things.
And you also have a career in the subject as well, really.
Well, yeah, I'm very fortunate that my life has evolved into a way that I can be absorbed in it full time, really, because I do it. I mean, it's great to find a hoard that's worth a load of money, but I would still want to do it if all the coins were worth nothing. Even go to Croatia, pay your own flights to go out there, pay your own accommodation, dig some stuff up and give it all away. Yeah, I'm in still. I just love it. So,
how often do you actually get out metal detecting when things are in normal circumstances?
As often as I can, really. If through the winter months, if the weather's all right and the land's available, I'll go for 5 days at a time or a week at a time. No problem. And then with the Hansons and the auction, it sort of comes in a 3-month or 4-month cycle where there's not much to do, and then all of a sudden it's 7 days a week work, and I don't get out for a couple of weeks, and then it slows back down again. I've got the freedom to get back out in the fields, and weather permitting and land permitting, I'm out as much as I can.
Yeah. Well, I have promised Mark that when things do return to normal and social distancing is eased, at some point I will pop down to it's in Derby, isn't it? The auction room.
Yeah, it's based just outside Derby at Etwall.
Yeah, I only work at Utoxeter, so it's not far.
Oh, right, yeah.
I'll pop down, definitely. Just the experience of seeing what goes on, to be honest, it'll be fantastic. So,
yeah, if you time it, usually all the Historica things go on display 2 weeks before the auction. But there's, they have several auctions every month, varying from, toys or sporting goods, militaria, fine art, pottery, porcelain thing, and it rolls and rolls. So if you go down there, there's always something on show. There's always interesting things.
I actually live not 100 metres away from Adam Partridge from Adam Partridge auction rooms. On Find It, Fix It, Flog It. So I've been along to his sales a few times. We've got one in Congleton called Whittaker and Biggs, which I always keep my eye on and end up having to go and pick stuff up for my brother who bids online. So it'll be a pleasure to come down. Anyway, Adam, it's been a fascinating evening. not only the images that we've seen and the story of the Chew Valley Hoard and your other finds, but your description and your ability to talk about things and your knowledge, it's first rate. And it's been a pleasure speaking to you, to listen.
Oh, thanks, Dave. And it's been a pleasure talking to you. And yeah, everything that I know is just because I love doing it, and that's it. And I'm glad you've enjoyed talking to me, because
I certainly have.
Yeah,
I'm sure that many other people will have as well. I know there was, when we announced the show earlier this week, there was a ruck of new people coming onto the Facebook group, and a lot of people saying that they'd be watching. So I hope those of you who have come on to watch tonight have enjoyed it as much as I have. I can't thank you enough, Adam. It's been brilliant.
Thanks for watching, guys, and thanks for commenting, taking part, and giving me something to talk about. It's nice to know people are watching it, and it's not like, oh, it's Adam again talking about Chew Valley, more yawn.
and it stopped you rocking for an hour and a half.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to rocking in a minute.
Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, obviously broadcast will be put onto the podcast tomorrow, so you can listen to it in your car, whatever, if you want to again, or for those of you who are listening after we've done the show, I hope you've enjoyed listening. I'm sorry that you couldn't see the images in Listeningville. To all the listeners tonight, thank you all for popping along. I hope you've enjoyed the show. Thank you as ever to all the people who put the effort into the Archaeology and Metal Detecting magazine, the show, the groups, Tim Levine, Tony Kaywood, obviously Luke. Couldn't do this without Luke in any way, shape or form. Laura, probably many people, Lee Hull, Tombo Brew, other people. Head's gone now. Thank you again, Adam, finally. And thank you, Luke. Ladies and gentlemen, next Thursday night.
Can I just plug my Instagram? Right? I've only recently started on Instagram. I love photography. That's another thing I like doing, and it ties in well with where I work. I get to take photos of beautiful things. So yeah, it's Adam's Treasure on Instagram. If you want to see some nice photos, get on there. And it's just another outlet for me to do something while I'm bored at home. So sticking photos up on there.
Just followed you. There you go.
Nice one. Thanks, Dave.
So again, Adam Staples, Adam's Treasure on Instagram. Thank you again, everybody. Thank you, Luke, and good night.
And I went over to show them.
Sorry, it's DJ.
I think this is what people